Heyo and good evening. I am of course your host Anthium and welcome to Two Tales. Now this video is actually both a response and a covering of another video that I did. About a week ago I put up a video called the 10 questions for Tommy Tallarico, and Mr. Tallarico took the time to answer every question, including the ones my kids were asking. And admittedly, it was a lot more than 10 questions. He was a really good sport about it, and I appreciate it. So in case you haven't seen that video, you haven't seen his answers, I'm going to recap it for you, and hopefully it'll be a good time. Now, before we get to that, a couple of things. First, my normal shout outs. I like to try and teach my kids the concept of having an attitude of gratitude. So anytime, regardless of who it is, and someone shows me some sort of kindness or sincerity, I like to give them a shout out. Now, I'm reposting two videos that I put up in this last week that were accelerated. And while the videos themselves were legible, and I was greatly amused by the as I believe Tommy put it, as the Lollipop Guild voices. I received a comment from two different people who had two very different normal interaction personality types. And so my shout outs go to Squealer Pig, actually, and of course, Open Every Box Pete. Basically, the summary there is they both pointed out that while I was amused and I was trying to keep my videos down to a shorter time, it was just generally better to let the videos play and, let my audience fast forward if they wanted to. And when you have two diametrically opposed attitudes basically saying the same thing, it's my job to listen, because while this channel is an expression of myself, it's here for you guys. So thank you for those comments, and those videos will be going up, and one of them actually has a correction hidden in it. Good luck finding that. Now, with that being said, moving on to the next thing. So I've been watching some other videos from some content creators, and I watched a video on tips on how a specific person made it to 500 subscribers. He's doing much better than that now. And one of the things he said was consistency. Now, I'm not a very consistent person in regards to what I do for fun. And it occurred to me in that moment that while I talk about how my channel is dedicated to imagination and adventure, and originally was a very long descriptor, so now it's just imagination and adventure through stories and games. I haven't been very clear on how it is that I've been tracking the adventure or Project One, and how the Amico is actually a run-up to it. And while I am never going to apologize for my defense of the Amico and those videos I put out, I will apologize for taking a longer detour than I originally planned. I got too caught up in my own hype and excitement that I lost sight of my actual goal. So a bit of a progress report. So there's going to be this video, which is the recapping and reaction to Tommy Tallarico's answers, and then I'll have one more video that is dealing with Intellivisions safe anagram, as well as the 10 commandments of Tommy Tallarico for game development, because that's instrumental in where I'm going. And then after that is where things will get really, really fun and interesting, because that's really the starting point. So we're almost there, and I thank you for coming along with me on this journey as I learn more how to it's been a long day. Thank you for coming with me as I've learned how to use YouTube and have explored my own channel and thoughts as this has gone along. Now, so with that being said, let's get right into what you're here for, which is Tommy Tallarico's answers to the questions. Now, admittedly, if I were to do an actual interview, which he's busy and I'm not going to ask for an interview because lots of people ask for his time, and I have the benefit of following a lot of people that regularly see him on his channels and interacting and so forth, and that's good enough for me, especially when he takes the time to respond to me or talk to me, and that's all really good. So I try to make this entertaining, and some of the questions and stuff would definitely not be things that I would do in a face-to-face talk, but I had fun. I hope if you haven't seen it, I'll post a link here, and so let's get to this. So, um, I'm trying to remember the order of my questions that actually went. Of course, I asked him originally how he, his family, and his coworkers were actually doing. And generally, he was appreciative for the kind words and the support that him, his team, and his family, they're doing great in spite of the craziness that's going on in the world. Um, and of course, they're taking advantage of the fact that they actually get extra time together. And that's really, it's a good way to look at it. And I probably could look at that more. I mean, I've had a stable job, but I'm looking at actually having like 12 days off from work here very soon. And of course, my first thought is all the work I have to do here at home, but I really should appreciate that time with my family more. It's good words of wisdom for family people out there. But continuing on, he says everyone at Intellivision is really excited, looking forward to getting back into the office over the hopefully in the next few weeks. And he generally hopes that someday I'll get a chance to go by the office and meet him and the people that are there, which will probably be like a family thing. Thank you for that invitation. As it is, I live on the East Coast and money's very tight for the family, so it's not a trip that I'm going to be able to make anytime soon. But I will certainly remember that invitation, and I speak on behalf of my family. Thank you for that. And with that being said, Mrs. Two Tails has not been feeling well lately. She wanted to be involved, but she really needed her rest. And I didn't want to wait much longer than a week to 2 weeks before I did this recap. But I'll make sure that if she has anything to add to my commentary here, to pass it on. So, moving on board, or moving along here, uh, everyone that's working on television has a very strong passion and is working very hard on that the project, which for Tommy, he says that that's incredible to see, and of course they're all very excited about Jay Allard coming on board. Now, with that being said, I didn't do any coverage for the announcement of Jay Allard because a lot of people that are more eloquent and skilled on YouTube are much faster than me, and they did a really good job covering it. And on top of that, until that coverage, I did not know who Jay Allard was. And then actually reading his bio and how instrumental he was at Microsoft for the Xbox and Xbox Live, he's an impressive fellow. And, all the best and all the more that Intellivision actually has someone like that on board. He's really going to prove to be an asset, I'm certain of it, because the more names get revealed, the more people that are coming on board at Intellivision, the more legitimate the project looks to me. It makes it more impressive in my eyes. But let's move on. Okay. All right. So his next answer actually is a response to my wife, who wanted to know how Tommy's dinosaurs, his Raptors at the pool, were doing. To which he says that they've been getting a lot of sun lately, and as such, they need some suntan lotion. No, he needs to touch up the paint and, of course, put a protective coating on them. But my wife was also wondering if he had one that was based after Blue from Jurassic World, because that's her favorite. He says that he doesn't, but he could easily fix that with some paint, he supposes. Um, Now, I trolled Tommy a little bit. My first legitimate question to him was actually, how cool is Doug TenNapel? For those of you who do not know, Doug TenNapel is the creative mind behind EarthWorm Jim. He has EarthWorm Jim, the official comic book origin, out. It was published like later last year, early this year, and he's supposed to start on the second book sometime this year. And I'm waiting in anticipation for that to begin because I'd like to back the project. Um, from my general opinion, Doug TenNapel is both a very creative and funny guy. He strikes me as a little contrarian. He likes to troll people. He's constantly posting little witty quips on Twitter. And I once asked him, how cool is Tommy Tallarico? Because I just learned who Tommy Tallarico was through the making of EarthWorm Jim, and realized that the guy I was reading about was the same guy that was, behind the Amico, and that really set my imagination and my world on fire with excitement. So I did the same thing to Tommy. I asked him, how cool is Doug TenNapel really? To which his response is that Doug TenNapel is a very creative guy. and that he was very kind to Tommy in regards to his comments in the making of EarthWorm Jim, which, by the way, both the EarthWorm Jim Launched the Cow, which is the comic graphic novel, and the making of EarthWorm Jim, the original game, both books are beautifully done, and if you can possibly get your hands on a copy, I do recommend that you do. If you're a book collector, if you like comic books, if you like information on video games and so forth, either one of those books is just absolutely outstanding. But anyway, just so you guys know, if you are not up to speed, the original EarthWorm Jim team got back together after 25 years doing independent projects and so forth, and they are currently working on a new EarthWorm Jim for the Amico. That's how I learned about the Amico, actually, was from Doug TenNapel. And as such, he's very excited for people to play the new one. And admittedly, I am very excited. EarthWorm Jim was one of the defining games of my childhood in the 90s, and I never forgot that. So moving on, the next question was actually an Amico question from me, and it was about the game BurgerTime, because I'm a huge fan of BurgerTime, and I asked him if there's any information we could have about it, because the last BurgerTime game that I played was BurgerTime World Tour. I loved it. My daughter played with me. I recently found out, and here's a shout out, that Turbo Joe, the old school gamer, plays with his kids on BurgerTime World Tour, PlayStation 3 game, and he loves it as much as my family does. I remember, though, that generally speaking, critics and the BurgerTime fan base did not seem to receive that very well. So I asked him, was there anything he could tell us? To which his answer was that he couldn't really tell me anything about BurgerTime because he didn't have an answer yet. It's still very, very early on in the process for this reimagining of BurgerTime, but this definitely will have the co-op and versus. And the World Tour, if I recall, had a versus mode. It did not have a co-op mode. So I'm very excited to see what they do there. So my next question to Tommy was, I learned from some of his interviews that Tommy is, of course, he's vegan. So I was interested to know what his favorite dish was, how do you make it, was there a cooking show coming? To which his answer is that his actual favorite dish is a handmade pasta that he does using chestnut flour, and he uses his family's sauce recipe. And it's been in his family for hundreds and hundreds of years, so it's both very meaningful and something that has the expertise of generations to make it an amazing tasting sauce. And I'm willing to wager that a traditional family sauce like that is well, amazing, as he says. So my next question to him was actually about his dogs. Tommy made a passing comment around Mother's Day about children, and then he, amusingly added that his dogs were his kids, but he spoke in plural, and we had only seen his dog Houdini, and so I was curious because I like when Houdini shows up if there was more dogs, and which one was secretly Tommy Jr. So the answer is him and his wife actually have three dogs. Um, Houdini is Tommy's dog from before he was actually married. And as such, he's also is the biggest and the one that's most like Tommy. So Houdini's kind of Tommy Jr. if you want to be a little cheeky about it. The other two dogs that they have is Nova and Luna, and they were his wife's dog before they actually got married. And something I didn't ask because I really didn't want to get too personal, even though I was curious. He voluntarily let me know that him and his wife have actually been together for about 12 years, which, funnily enough, I've been married for about 11 to 12 years. So, all the best to those guys. In this day and age, it seems to me that long-standing relationships are hard to find. So all the best. Absolutely. Congratulations. Uh, So, moving on. Uh, for anyone who has not tracked the channel, um, I did an animation video to kind of celebrate Intellivision's successes over the last year and a half to 2 years that I've been tracking the system. because in spite of everything, they are fighting really hard to make their launch date of 10/10/2020, and it's admirable how hard they're trying to pull that off. And at the same time, the Amico has gotten some flack from some hardcore gamers and some people that are just, I think, naturally trolls. People like that are out there. It's unfortunate, you know. But I did an animation of the Intellivision Running Man, and I realized that if he was standing still and straight up and down, he looked like a Pez dispenser. So it's kind of a little bit of a ha-ha, but at the same time, something I was serious about. I posted the picture on Twitter. I tagged Intellivision and Tommy, and I said, hey, the Intellivision man standing still looks like a Pez dispenser. Can we get one? And well, that post was received with amusement and positivity. And so I realized that you can buy, like, for example, a collector's set of frozen Pez dispensers of all the different characters and so forth. And there are 5 consoles coming out, each one a different color, different materials making the console. And it occurred to me that would be enough to make a collector set. So my daughter helped me draw up 5 Pez dispensers, all colored like different Amico systems and looking like the Intellivision man. And to which Tommy's answer on his thoughts on that is that he loves the idea. It's very cool. Now, I asked him another Amico question, though. The next question was actually, what was his favorite feature for the Amico? And he actually said that the touchscreen is actually his favorite part, because it's going to be a touchscreen that is being used for couch co-op. He says that it's really going, quote, it's really going to usher in a new way to design and play video games. I know that other companies have had screens before, but we're using them in such a unique and different way that I think a lot of folks are going to be surprised. Now, as I said, that the adventure portion of my channel is about doing projects. Some of it's going to revolve around, like, game design, book design. There's all sorts of things that I could do that I've never done before that are on my list, and game design is one of them. And I'll be touching on this more a little bit later in this video, but I've had to give some serious thought on, if I were to try and do something for the Amico, how do you incorporate the controller? And admittedly, the knee-jerk reaction is to use the touchscreen as a very simple touch interface, or even as a way to just display information and unique pictures. But I have the suspicion there's more to that touchscreen. There's more that you could do with it than what my imagination has currently seen. For example, I believe Texas Hold'em was something that Tommy said in one video. And while it is a screen displaying information, it's also a screen that allows you to handle your cards like actual playing cards. And I know that's not wowing information, but the point is I think from my time as a mobile player, and from the few times I between the Wii and the Wii U, I have locked myself into a specific idea on how a touchscreen works, and I'm overlooking the real versatility there. But that's the subject for a different time. So his favorite feature is the touchscreen. All right, so the next question was actually from my wife. She has a Kawasaki Ninja 600, and it is burnt candy orange. Now, we enjoy holidays and family time here. I like tradition. It's important to me. But Halloween is definitely a family favorite holiday, so I asked him, on her behalf, does he like Halloween, and will there be a burnt orange Amico? To which he responded, he's more of a Christmas fellow, but he also likes Halloween. And he would love for the Amico to be so popular that they could do a ton of different colors, which orange would be epic. His words, orange would be epic. That means a lot to me. Orange has been my favorite color for a very long time. He also says elsewhere that to my son that he hopes that Amico is popular enough that they could do a green one as well. Because I'll be honest, because I have the Founders Edition lined up, presuming I can finalize the payment on that, because things have gotten tight because of certain personal issues, but I got a couple of months to get that sorted out. As much as I will absolutely play on that Founders Edition when I get it, it would be better in my mind if I could very carefully package that back up and save that and get myself a separate console. But that's again, that'll take time. And I'm eager to see what will happen as the Amico becomes successful and moves forward down the road. But going on with Tommy's answer, he said that he had a slightly metallic orange 68 Mustang, a 2x2 fastback that looked amazing in the sun. And that sounds amazing. Old Mustangs are beautiful cars in the first place. I like old American muscle cars. My actual first car was a 1970 Ford Maverick, and it was metallic blue with a black hood scoop on it. And I miss that car. Yeah, that's a story for a different time, though. The point is that that Mustang, I guarantee you, that was a sweet car. But he goes on to say that he rates my wife's motorcycle as a 10 out of 10, and that he is starting to think that she is way cooler than me, and that I need to start getting her on the channel. And I'm working on it. She's much more comfortable being outspoken now than she was. And if she wasn't feeling well, she'd be down here responding to some of these comments. But moving on. I asked him a very odd question because it was a moment that curiosity got the best of me. And the question that I asked was there a game they tried to get for the Amico that they were told no on? And not hey, we'll see how this goes. Because if you don't know, they tried to get Pitfall and one other title that I can't recall off the top of my head. And the company said that they wanted to see how the Amico was going to do before they agreed to get on board with that. So that's not really a no. That's kind of a maybe. We'll see based on conditions, and that's smart business, right? Tommy's answer to the question though is that no one has actually told Intellivision no outright. Hasn't happened for any of the properties that they're looking for. Tron and Pitfall are the top two on his list that they're currently working hard on. I don't know what's going on with Disney with Tron. Tommy hasn't talked a whole lot about that, but the Pitfall one, they're waiting to see how the system will do. And I'll be honest, I never played the original Pitfall. I like the simple concept. I've seen a lot of gameplay for it. And I'm really hoping the Amico does well enough that they score Pitfall, because that would be a huge reimagining, really fun thing to do. I believe. So another Amico question. I asked him what were the reasons why they actually used acrylic, and I gave a breakdown on acrylics. So real quick, if you didn't know this, acrylic comes in one of two forms, extruded and cast. Extruded is malleable, kind of like the acrylic paints, so that's really off the table. And then cast is a very hard substance that has to be very carefully made and is easily contaminated, so it has to be a controlled environment. So you kind of have extruded acrylic, glass, plexiglass, which is actually a glass mixed with a cast acrylic, and then cast acrylic at the top level. It's very hard stuff. His answer was very cool because he gave me a very detailed answer on this one. So in regards to that, he says acrylic is for toughness and quickness for your fingers moving over it. It was a lot more expensive and pushed the initial price point of $199 way over the line, but they wanted to ensure that they made a product that was amazing when people held it in their hands. The acrylic made a huge quality difference, and yes, the buttons, because there's tactile suction cup buttons that we haven't seen. He's talked about it. It's still kind of in this patent pending phase, if I'm correct. But those stick really well to the phone, and as such, the acrylic does not bow and warp when you try to remove them, so I'm presuming that hardness works as a benefit there. But as a mobile player who uses touchscreens a lot, when your screen gets sticky or you're trying to move fast and you've been playing for a while and your thumb or your fingers have really dried out from the heavy gameplay, it sucks. The friction point sucks on touchscreen. So I don't have any experience playing on acrylics. That's a very uncommon thing, I think. So it's very unique, and I have no reason to doubt that in fact that the friction point is lower. And if that's the case, it will absolutely make me much happier in regards to playing on a touchscreen. Okay, so from here we get into what I call the lightning round. The lightning round was a series of questions from my kids. After this, there's about a 9-minute video of my kids commenting back to Mr. Tallarico. I really should learn my lesson not to try and record all three of my children at the same time. When they get in front of the camera, with the exception of Samus Boy, my children go nuts, right? They love the attention they get from the camera. And I'm not going to respond to this because this is stuff that was covered by my kids. But there is one question I'm going to respond to, and I'll explain why that is. Now, my daughter asked, would they publish my games? Now, the reason it's important for me to answer this question is because, first off, I've been accused in the comment section of other videos of saying that I wanted to publish for Intellivision. The reality of the matter is, I've never actually said that. However, I would be stupid not to consider it. But let's clarify a few things. First off, that was a question my daughter came up with on her own. The reason she came up with it is because I sit down and I make board games for my kids. The most popular one that was completed, well, I call it the 20 space race, and I'll talk about that some other time. I constantly sit down and talk with my kids about story ideas and concepts and characters, but I also talk to them about games. I say, hey, I'm thinking about a game based on this. This is how I would do it. What do you think about that? And I get my children's feedback. Now, in a video for the Amico All Access podcast that I did to plug for Open Every Box Pete, and again, I do advise that you check him out. I talk about a game with the working title In and Out, and for example, in that one, to make the game more challenging and build up the suspense and anxiety, what I would do is I would shrink everyone's field of vision in this like maze to a small global light around their characters. And my daughter will unequivocally tell you she doesn't like that. And these are things that I consider. And I ask a lot more people than just my daughter when it comes to my game ideas. What does this have to do with Intellivision and that specific question? Tommy's answer to her is, if Daddy has a good game, we'd love to publish it. Now, I've always wanted to make a game. I have planned games. I have made board games. I've made card games. And I have dabbled in making video games. I am familiar with the Unity engine. And my wife actually bought me a book about 5 years ago called Unity 3D Blueprints. And it's not the best written book. I successfully made 2 of the 4 before I spilled soda on my computer and destroyed it. So, am I an indie developer? No, I'm not. Do I have some experience? I have more than a total amateur with 0 experience, but by no means am I a professional. I'm a man who is deeply passionate about his imagination and has always desired, between art classes and all the things I've invested time, designing and entertaining others. So, in regards to the Amico and the Intellivision, I have not outright said that I want to publish for the Amico. However, it can be inferred that I have the interest because I do. The reality of the matter is when I get to that point in my channel and start revealing the idea that I want to develop, I would be stupid not to go to Intellivision first and say, hey, I know I don't have experience. This is the experience I have. This is my vision. This is the game. This is how it meets your 10 commandments. Would you be interested in backing me? I'd be stupid not to do that. Intellivision has actually stated that when it comes to indie developers, if the games line up with the company's vision, they will back, support, and assume a lot of the risk for the developers. And if that were the case, which is a long shot, and again, this will be something I talk about in a separate video when I get there. If that's the case, I would actually be able to quit my current job and have a better paying job as an indie developer working for Intellivision. I'd be stupid not to try. The reality of the matter is this. I'm not hyped up on my own vision or an over-exaggerated sense of self-worth. Intellivision would have no reason to support my work right now, at least not officially. I know Tommy subscribed to my channel. I've talked with him. He is by far, honestly, I'd rate him up there in like the top 2 positive people that I know, but he's extremely friendly and warm. He has actually, on his own, helped me with certain tech things that I didn't understand about YouTube. You know, I have a great, immense respect for him. And I have no doubt that if he feels compelled to, he'd comment. He'd say it's a great idea, it's a bad idea, or maybe he wouldn't because, well, that's in business territory. You're not really, you don't do that when you have someone that you're on friendly terms with because it looks unprofessional. But I know retail. I know jobs. And I know that when it comes down to picking, like, and here's a shout out for you, Chronic Spartan, who is a developer. I've never played his game. I've seen a little bit of footage for it. And he's a great guy, you know, and it's very clear that he has a talent. And I should really look into more of his work. It would make more sense for them to support him or track down the people that made Horde back on the PlayStation 3, which is like this isometric dragon treasure hunting game that was absolutely awesome. I played the demo like crazy with my kids. Then it would be for them to support me. So that's a big reason why I haven't said, yeah, I'm going to try and get, you know, Intellivision to back me. Because I'd be dumb not to ask. But the simple reality is there's no reason for them to support me at this stage in my goal and my interest. I'd have to provide a proof of concept. I'd have to provide some sort of proof that it's not just a long shot in the dark, that I have the potential and the ability to get this published. So it was my daughter's question. And it's something that will be explored more later on. Because let's be clear, whether Intellivision supports it or not, I'm going to go ahead and execute the idea and concept. Really got to get a better mask. The last mask I paid for was not what I paid for. I'm gonna execute on this project anyway. And if I get it done and they want to take a look at it and it fails to meet this 7 out of 10 standard they have internally, then I'm still going to try and publish it somewhere else. This is more about completing the passion than getting another job. And while it would be nice, I'm not under the illusion that I have any real strong odds there. There's a lot of variables and X factors, but the important part is here. This is the important part. My daughter asked a sincere question because she's excited and likes the ideas that I talk about with her. And the answer from Tommy Tallarico is if my idea was good enough, they would look at it. And that alone means a whole heck of a lot to me. Now, this has gone on a lot longer than I wanted. I will definitely timestamp this one and try and cut this down if I can. And after this point, though, it's 9 minutes of sheer chaos with my children hearing Mr. Tallarico's answers to them. As always, all the best to you and yours. Stay foxy. Hello everyone, welcome to Two Tails. I'm of course your host Anthium, and today is very special. Mrs. Two Tails is in the background. We'll get to that in a moment. So very special video. Been trying to arrange this for a while. It's tough to getting the whole family down. One thing at a time, buddy. So we have got Streaky Bacon, Calicorn, and just off camera here is Samus Boy. He wanted to be part of this. And this is a special video. This is a response, a reaction, and commentary to Mr. Tallarico, Tommy Tallarico, the Intellivisions CEO of Intellivision. the CEO of Intellivision, taking time to answer all of my questions in the previous video. And since all my family was involved in it, I wanted them to respond. He's just taking some time to arrange it.
So this video is just especially for Tommy Tallarico.
There we go. Now, with that being said, Mrs. Two Tails is in the background. She has a new arts and crafts hobby. It's called 5D. It's very, very pretty. And there's special sites that allow you to change actual pictures into them, the whole 9 yards. It's pretty neat stuff.
Order your own too. Even some for your kids, because the kids are miniature ones.
Yes,
cute.
There's little ones for kids too. Now, with that being said, I'm going to try and control the chaos as best as I can. That's not going to go well. It already hasn't. I've already lost Samus Boy over that way somewhere. Now, this one, Streaky himself, just went through some surgery. He had his tonsils removed, so he doesn't have much of a voice. I will try to make sure you can understand anything that he wants to say. Do not play with the mouse, good sir. All right, Samus Boy is with us. All right, so here we go. So, about a week or so ago, I did a video, the 10 questions for Tommy Tallarico. It was more than 10 questions. My children were involved in the lightning round, except for Samus Boy. He got camera shy and sat that one out, and he wants to be part of this one. So Mr. Tallarico took the time to answer all of your questions, okay? So let me go through these for you, and I'll let you respond to each one of his answers. All right. So in regards to, will the Amico come in green? Hopefully, the Amico will do well enough that we'll have a green one at some point, but not right now. What do you think about that? Oh, I'm losing him. like is this? This is Munster the Green Monkey. You got this from the doctors at the hospital, yeah? Okay, so moving on from there. Will there be Minecraft on the Amico? And the answer is no, there will not be Minecraft on the Amico.
My favorite game, Tommy.
We'll have to find you a new favorite game. I bet there'll be plenty of craftsy type games on the Amico soon enough. Okay, next. Since you asked if the Amico will come in green twice, maybe. That's the second question. Then we on to question 4, which was, will you publish my dad's games? Hey, stop blocking the camera. People want to see you. Stop blocking the camera. All right, now Tommy's answering in this one is very flattering to me. He says, if Daddy has a great game, we would love to publish it. Any comments from the Peanut Gallery? No? Gonna let that one go? Okay.
Let it go.
Oh, what would you like to say? Let it go. That's not ego boosting, sweetie. The Amico is actually, let me answer this one for you guys. The Minecraft is not designed to support what's called an open sandbox 3D type world, which is what Minecraft is. So Minecraft would have to drastically be changed to even fit on the Amico. So the answer is just going to be no on that one, all right? Their system's not designed for it.
I have something to say.
Okay.
Guys, if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe right now, because Dad's done a lot of work into this.
I appreciate that, buddy.
But when he did his surgery, his voice changed a little bit. Now he's Pipsqueak.
All right, no, don't. I don't need you to stop. I don't need you pausing the video. Okay, so moving on to the next answer. All right, so Streaky, your question was, will Plants vs. Zombies come on the Amico? He says, currently there are no plans, but that could change in the future. So what do you think about that? Is that like, I'm sad it's not there, but I hope it will be? Yeah? Okay.
I have one more question, but I didn't have time to answer it.
Well, what's the question, buddy?
Will the Amico come with Batman?
Will the Amico come with Batman? So, new question. Slipping this one in there. Will Amico come with Batman?
You know what you can do? You can do one more comment.
Can we focus, guys? We're at 5 minutes already. We're only halfway through, okay?
I'll give you a new one.
Now, the next question, which is, do you like My Little Pony? He says, I don't know much about My Little Pony to make a decision, but I will certainly want to include My Little Pony games on the Amico.
My Little Pony is this story about 6 or 7 ponies.
Right. But what do you think about him trying to get
My
My Little
horses.
And what do you think about him trying to get My Little Pony on the Amico?
Dun 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 dun.
All right, next one. He says, your favorite color is green. Tommy's favorite color is red.
Wow.
You like red? Okay.
My favorite color is cerulean.
Cerulean. Good blue.
God, blue is
All right,
good.
so
I like it.
the next question was, what is his favorite places? And he says his favorite places are Oregon, California, Italy, New Zealand, and Australia.
He said California because Pete's in
No,
California.
Pete's in Canada, sweetie.
No.
Tommy's in California.
No.
Yes. You hear that? Pete, you're actually in California and Tommy's in Canada. You can't fool us any longer. Calicorn says it is so. Okay, so next answer. You asked him, what is your job? And he says right now, his job is answering your questions.
That's a funny question.
Funny
That's a
answer.
funny
Can you
answer.
say thank you for taking time? That's not a thank you. That's a thumbs up.
Thank you.
Okay. So stop. That's
20,000 years
you're getting
later.
out of control. Calm down. Sit back. I can't read.
20.
All right. So the next answer that he gives you guys is the one place that he's never been is Iceland, but he hears that's very nice there.
What? I
You
haven't
don't
been
even know
there
where
either.
Iceland is. Stop it.
I haven't been there, but I
No,
also
no.
don't know where it is, and I also don't know what it is.
It's actually a really big island. The funny part is that Iceland is actually more green than it is icy. Now, with that being said,
But is it
to
cold?
answer your question, Tommy's favorite number is 77.
What?
What's your favorite number?
I don't really have one.
You don't have one? Well,
I do.
Mrs. Two Tails would
I
like to
do.
know why 77. What's your favorite number?
A gazillion trillion.
A gazillion trillion is your favorite number? All right. So, his favorite holiday, which is your question, his favorite
Christmas.
holiday is Christmas, just like you. What's your favorite holiday? You just like holidays? Yeah. Samus boy's favorite holiday is Halloween because it's nighttime and dark and you can jump out and scare people. All right, so this was the last question you guys asked him, which was, what is his favorite animal? And he says his favorite animal is his dog, Houdini. Houdini is a very pretty dog, by the way, but he says he also likes kangaroos,
Koalas.
tigers, koalas, pandas, and
Those are
velociraptors.
birds. Velociraptors are birds.
The velociraptors are dinosaurs.
There you go. They're dinosaurs.
They're bird dinosaurs.
All right, so those were his answers to you. What do you say when someone takes extra time for you? Now, thank you. There we go.
Please like and subscribe and turn
That's
on
it.
those bells.
Enough.
Now.
All right,
Steal
say-
your diamonds.
say bye.
I will steal your diamonds.